Hello and welcome. I'm Lorianne Lumby with Authentic Freedom Academy, and this is our Friday spiritual service. Today is Friday, February 26th, 2021. So let's take a few moments before we begin this week's message and bring ourselves into this space, whether you are here live or viewing this at a later time. So I invite us to begin by closing our eyes. And with your eyes closed, drawing your awareness and your focus to your breathing. Being conscious of each breath as you draw it in and as you give it release. As you draw it in and as you give it release. As you are breathing, allowing the rhythm of that breath to draw you more and more away from worry, any anxieties or preoccupations that might be on your mind. And as you are drawing away from those externals, drawing yourself more and more inward. Drawing yourself away from the world of troubles and more inward to that sacred space within that is known by an experience of peacefulness, increasing calm, a sense of contentment, and wholeness. Where all of your scattered parts can gather and rest and remember your original state as whole and complete. And I invite you to rest for a few moments in quiet as you allow yourself to become anchored in and more consciously aware of that place of completeness. From that place of quiet and restfulness, I share with you 3 short poems that are related to our theme for today. The first poem is by contemporary poet Hiraeth, and it is called Unsafe Place. Go and change the world with me. Open your eyes. This is reality. An unsafe place for us to be because we're ruled by inhumanity. And 2 reflective thoughts that will be included in an upcoming poetry collection. The illusion of safety is a fantasy we created to distract ourselves from the savage reality of the human condition. Humanity's constant effort to keep themselves safe is the definition of futility, and all their vows of protection are promises made in vain. So our theme today is a tricky one because it is part of, encompasses, is defined by somewhat of an oxymoron. The theme is about this idea of safety. And ultimately, the falsehood of that idea. And I promise that today's message will not be complete nihilism or will end in a place of doom and gloom. But there is a trap that we get into as human beings. And this trap is the continual pursuit for safety, safety and protection. And on one hand, this is a survival drive. We are driven to survive. And one of the needs for survival is safety and protection. So it's natural for us as human beings to seek out safety, to seek out protection, to desire a sense of safety. But the difficulty with that search is that we have been conditioned by all of these promises and expectations around where safety will be gotten. And we've also been conditioned to understand or expect safety to look a certain way. And those expectations differ from person to person, culture to culture, place to place. And I'm already aware that I'm standing on the edge of the wormhole or the rabbit hole, even daring to crack open a conversation about this question of safety. But the truth is that in all of our seeking, in all of our attempts to define what safety means, either for ourselves as individuals or as a collective, we really aren't safe. As human beings, we are vulnerable. We are not at the top of the food chain, except by the fact that we have weapons. Left to our own devices, without a weapon in our hand, we would be lion food. We would be grizzly food. We would be shark food. We are also vulnerable to the great vulnerability, which is death. We cannot escape death, no matter how much we think we can. When it's our time, it's our time. Whether we are 103 years old or a 20-year-old young man who died in the midst of perfect health, or a child that barely made it into this world and passed away. So the reality is that we can't keep ourselves safe from death if death is what's coming for us. We cannot keep ourselves safe from illness if illness is what's coming for us. We cannot keep ourselves safe from each other if there is someone who seeks to do us harm and has a leg up on power or control or whatever that might look like. So this is the reality of the human experience. But we think of all the ways in which we've been told that we will be kept safe. All of the promises that have been made about our safety. A very simple one is the way in which God has been used, the divine has been used as a pawn for safety. if we're good and faithful human beings to our God, if we obey the laws of our faith, if we fulfill the obligations, then God will keep us safe. Psalm 23, though I walk in the dark valley, you are always at my side. And yet, how often are we in the pit of our own darkness and there's no God there to save us? We're told it's our family's job to keep us safe, our parents. And yet, how many children grow up continually in a state of fear, in a state of not feeling safe? We are told we'll be safe at school, but we know that that's no longer true. And nation after nation after nation has promised their people that with their military might, they will keep them safe. How much has that proven to be a lie? So the reality is that if we are experiencing safety, these are moments that are fleeting. We know that there will be times that we do not feel safe. We've had experiences in our own lives where we have not felt safe, or where we were very much staring into the face of danger, harm, perhaps even our own death. So in spite of all the promises and pledges and illusions of safety, the human condition is not safe. And that's okay. Because it is not the lack of safety that is our problem. It is the ongoing promise and the striving after and the reaching for and the grasping of safety that becomes problematic to us. So in that, I think of people that hoard their wealth. They gather their abundance and prosperity and squirrel it all away because they're saving it for the rainy day, or because even though they have $1 million or $1 billion, they still don't feel safe. It is this hamster wheel of chasing after something that is ultimately never enough and not a guarantee. All the money in the world, all the security systems in the world are not enough to keep us safe when tragedy comes calling. So in the spiritual journey, we come to a place where we need to confront this illusion of safety. And the things that we do to ourselves, or the conditioning that has caused us to chase after safety, we have to examine all of those things that are not actually leading us to peace or a feeling of safety, but instead are only creating more anxiety. Because in the human experience, we are not promised that we'll be safe. We are not promised that someone won't drop a bomb on our head. We're not promised we won't get hit by a bus. We're not promised that our nation won't go to war. The human experience is the human experience, and the nature of that experience is dangerous and unsure. But that's because we're looking outside of ourselves for safety. We're looking at all of those we were told would be safe for us, or it would be their job to create safety for us. We're looking at money or land or investments or buildings or guns to keep us safe, when none of those can guarantee our safety. The safety that we are truly invited to pursue is the only safety or glimpse of safety that we actually have, and that is within ourselves. And what confirms that for me is all the women and men and children that I know and have heard stories about and read about that have been in profoundly unsafe situations and experiences. And it was not some outside force that saved them. They were their own savior. They were their own source of safety, support, comfort. In times when everything around us feel unsure, there is only one place to go, and that is within. To reach deep inside of ourselves, to the resources that are invisible and hidden, but that are present there. Those resources that come forth often unbidden or in surprising and unexpected ways. Resources that bring us to an inner state of calm, of clarity, of resolve, of knowing that somehow, somewhere within us, we have the resources to survive even this. So this is my invitation for all of us this coming week, is to reflect on all the ways in which we have been our own source of safety. How we have been safe in unsafe experiences, where we have found resilience, endurance, courage in the face of terror or fear or tragedy or disappointment. The human condition is difficult, treacherous, savage, and unsafe. And when we experience it as otherwise, it is because we have done that. We have been our own safety when everything else around us has failed.